Glaives are the talk of the town now with some exotic changes and some brand new perks that came to them. They are honestly very strong for in-game PvE. Now you all have probably already seen a bunch of builds based around the Titan with things like Syntheseps and how they can just pretty much obliterate every single thing in the game. But I wanted to take some of that fun and look at the Warlock and see if I can create anything that could be as good as that. Now I will go on to say this build is extremely strong and can be used in in-game PvE, but you're not going to see the crazy boss melting potential unless you get a lot of stuff set up for it. Titans with the Syntheseps exotic just makes that extremely easy, so if that's what you're looking for, I would definitely recommend one of those builds. But if you want a fun and very strong at clear build that is really good at taking out mini bosses, and again, if you do get stuff set up, it is very strong for bosses. But hey, if you're in the market for a brand new PC, look no further than my custom line at Apex Gaming PCs. These are price optimized to run Destiny 2 and can be completely customized the way you want it. All the links you need are in the description of this video. Remember, you can save up to $250 on your next purchase when you use code REST. All right, so jump right into it. I tried to make my Warlock look as tanky as possible, also give a little knight aesthetic, and I think I did a pretty good job of that. I think it looks really good. But the first thing we need to go over is our exotic Winter's Guile. This has the exotic perk Warlord's Sigil. Eliminating enemies with melee attacks increases your melee damage. Now, at the start of the season, these actually received a nerf to reduce the amount of melee damage they grant, but they also changed it so now they will synergize with the Glaives. So if you are taking a Glaive build, these are pretty much a no-brainer unless you want to take something like Carnage Steam Elements for survivability or Necrotic Grip for ad clear. But with this build, we're going to have ways to regenerate our health anyway, so we don't really need to take Carnage Steam Armlet, so these are our next best option. So once you have Tom's Fava, this exotic stack, it will absolutely destroy through any major or mini bosses. It doesn't even matter what level of content you're on, that Glaive is pretty much always going to one-hit anything it sees, and it is extremely fun to use. Now, it doesn't end there. Since this is a Glaive build, we need to really talk about the Glaive we're using, that is the Judgment of Kelgroth, mainly because this has the perk Close to Melee. Glaive projectile final blows improve Glaive melee damage for an improved duration. Glaive projectile or melee damage extends the duration. This is an enhanced one, so that's why it does say improved duration. But what this is going to do is now when you get a Glaive kill, you will also get a melee damage bonus that will constantly reproc if you just keep meleeing people or if you just hit somebody with a projectile. This will stack on top of Winter's Guile, which will give you even more damage, which makes it even easier to just make sure you're one-shotting these enemies on higher in-game content. Now, I would also highly recommend running Overflow on this so you just never have to reload the gun, because that's also going to be a pretty vital part of the build, because you don't want to have any downtime when you have to reload. Now, also, I'm going to be running Tractor Cannon. Tractor Cannon is a great option. You can essentially shoot this plot 30% debuff to whatever you shoot at, and you're going to do more damage to them. What you can do if you run up to a higher health target, make sure you shoot this, then swap back to your Glaive and just go to town, and you will pretty much insta-kill them. Do not be afraid to use the Tractor Cannon, even if it's just a major target. It has 17 shots with the catalyst, which means you just have a ton of ammo in your reserves, and you're pretty much always going to have infinite amounts of this if you are using it just for those higher targets. But since we're on the topic of weapons, for the final slot, you can run whatever you want to. If you want to run a blinding grenade launcher, that could work. I honestly just recommend throwing something in for a champion mod. As you see, I have a pulse rifle equipped with anti-barrier pulse. You can swap this out, maybe unstoppable hand cannon, overload scout rifle, whatever you're going into, you can use that for your in-game content. If you can get the perk Adaptive Munitions, that would be really strong, because that means you're going to be able to cover every single shield and you never really have to swap your loadout much at all. All right, so you have the understanding of how the Glaive playstyle is going to work. How are we going to amplify that with our subclass? Well, I like to take Voidwalker, throw it on a Cataclysmic Nova Bomb, and that is pretty much going to be just a solid damage super. Now, aspects, I like to run Chaos Accelerant, which means I can charge my grenade up and I will get a bunch of different benefits. More on that in a second. And I also like to take Feed the Void, so when I defeat a target with a Void ability, it will grant me Devour. Devour is going to let you heal to max every single time you get a kill, and on top of that, you will also get Grenade Energy every single time you get a kill. That's obviously going to pair really strong with the Glaive, since you're up in the battle anyway, you're always going to be taking damage. Every single time you get a kill, you're going to be healed to max. And I personally like to run a Magnetic Grenade with a Chaos Accelerant, because this is going to turn it into that old handheld Supernova, where it is essentially kind of like a shotgun and it plays into the close range aspect of this build. It's also extremely strong for securing a one-shot kill, which is going to play heavily when we get into our mods. Now for fragments, I like to run Echo of Exchange, so melee final blows is going to grant grenade energy. This actually does work with Glaive, so pairing this with Devour, you'll be getting a bunch of grenade energy and you can pretty much throw infinite amounts of them. I also like to run Echo of Reprisal, so final blows are surrounded by combats will grant super energy. Since you're going to be around a bunch of enemies in the first place and meleeing them, this is just going to grant you some extra super energy, which is very, very strong, so you can just throw a Nova Bomb out on any higher health target. And then finally, Echo of Persistence, so Void buffs applied to me, things like Devour will last a little bit longer to make it easier, so I can just be sure I never can go down. Now, I will say, if you are playing in a cooperative activity, Echo of Leeching is a great option, so melee final blows will start health generation for you and nearby allies. For you, obviously it does not matter because you have Devour, but this will work with Glaives and it will proc all your nearby allies as well, so you can pretty much keep them up 24/7. But if you don't want to worry about that, just taking Echo of Persistence is a great option as well. Now I would highly recommend running 100 resilience, that damage reduction, and 100 discipline, so you can get your handheld supernova back as much as possible. And we want that handheld supernova because we're going to be taking the mod elemental ordnance. So what this is going to do, when I get a grenade kill, it will spawn an elemental well that matches my subclass type. So in this case, we're going to be spawning a void elemental well every time we get a handheld supernova grenade kill. And like I said, the reason I like to take this is since I'm going to be up close anyway with the Glaive, it will also pretty much guarantee you a one shot because it does a lot of damage even on higher content, so we're always going to get that well to spawn. Now I also like to run a well of tenacity, so what this is going to do is when you pick up a void element well, it will reduce the damage taken to you from a short time. It is going to be a 40% damage reduction every single time you pick up one of these wells, and then obviously if you pair that with things like resilience, that is just going to give you a bunch of damage reduction, and then on top of that you have Devour to constantly heal you up. Now this is where things get interesting because you see on my armor I am going to be taking well of tenacity on 3 pieces of my armor, and then I'm finally going to be taking the mod elemental time dilation. So what this does is your elemental well mods that have a timer based to them, things like well of tenacity, will actually have increased time if you stack them on top of each other. So if we're running 3 with this mod equipped, we're going to have a much longer duration of damage reduction. That will give us enough time to get another grenade so we can throw it to then reproc the well of tenacity once more. And what's really cool is if you pick up Well of Tenacity and get a grenade kill relatively at the same time, if you have Echo of Persistence equipped, your Devour and Well of Tenacity will have the same cooldown rate, but obviously Devour will keep you proccing because you'll be getting kills over and over again. Now, it doesn't end there for damage reduction and mods. I also like to take a passive aggressive guard for this current season. Once it goes away, if you want to pop on 2 utility kickstarts, you could, but having a passive aggressive guard is going to be extremely nice for this because now that is going to give you even more damage reduction since you're going to be close with the Glaive in the first place. Pair it with your Well of Tenacity having a bunch of duration and your 100 resilience giving you even more damage reduction. So you're pretty much going to be unkillable, especially with Devour thrown on top. I do also just take ammo finders for shotgun and glaives, so I can just make sure I always have ammo for Judgment of Kelgaroth and my tractor cannon. Like I said earlier, whatever primary weapon you need to put champion mods onto for in-game content, you can definitely go for that. Always remember to take your defensive mods. This will help out a lot with your survivability as well. And I also have an installation thrown in here, so if I pick up an Orb of Power, it will just reduce the cooldown of my class ability if I need to throw an Empowering Rift down, because the cool thing, Empowering Rift will actually give you a damage buff to your melee on your Glaive. So that is the thing to note. That's why I like to run Empowering Rift. But the cool mod for the legs is the fact that I'm going to be running shotgun holster. So this is going to gradually load my stowed shotguns over time. So this means now my tractor cannon, when I shoot it just to apply a debuff to an enemy, I swap back to the Glaive to melee it. The tractor cannon in the background will just reload like it has auto loading holster. So you never have to worry about reloading the tractor cannon or the Glaive because you have overflow equipped on it, and it just makes the playstyle of going back and forth on these two extremely easy. But that is pretty much the build. Just as a quick rundown really quick, all you're doing is just making sure your melee enemies, make sure you proc that close to melee. You're going to get a damage bonus from that. You're going to get a damage bonus from Winter Scowl. All your fragments are playing into getting melees. You're going to be close to enemies. You're getting grenade energy. On top of that, your Devour's lasting longer. You have handheld supernova to just secure a kill, to then also play into your mods, which will give you even more damage reduction for a long time. You don't have to worry about reloading with shotgun holster. On top of that, you can take this into in-game content, so you can run whatever champion mods you need for your primary weapon, and you're pretty much going to have infinite heavy ammo 24/7. All of that paired with Devour and passive aggressive guard with all your Well of Tenacities, and you are just pretty much unkillable. Also, as a final note, if you made it this far in the video, I do like to show off the armor I'm running. I did go with just a 5 shader combo, did not swap anything up, just make it simple. But these are all the ornaments and shaders. I think the Warlock actually looks pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. And if you want to make your Warlock look like this, there you go. But all right, I think that's going to do it all for the video. Let me know what you all think about Glaives. Are you enjoying this season? I know for Titans, they are very fun with things like Syntheseps, but I figured we'd try to give it a shot in the Warlock, and I think this is a very fun build to try out. And if you all would like to try it out, I will have a dim link to this in the description below. And if you all enjoyed and learned anything new, consider subscribing, drop a like, and turn those notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.